about this tomorrow, but it does seem to make sense in that Patterson was one of the players that they feel isn't going to get game time because Robin Ruffs has been so solid, and it looks, it doesn't look like Patterson's going to get an opportunity. It didn't even get an opportunity in the FA Cup, so that does seem to me to seem to be a very, very viable suggestion.
The cheer, by the way, Philip says, when that cheer was heard, I thought it was that the pies had arrived, which, I guess would have also been good news. We got a bratwurst this evening in the press room, which was nice. Anthony Patterson's future at Sunderland. Martin, what are your thoughts there? Because when Roofs came in, I think it was pretty obvious he was going to be number one, but we did wonder whether Patterson would, be fighting him tooth and nail for that goalkeeper's shirt, and whether he'd play in all the cup games. He did in the League Cup, but not in the FA Cup. It does look a little bit as though his days are numbered, doesn't it?
You would think so. I think part of all, like the rest of us, have probably been really impressed with Robin Roofs. And he's probably come to the conclusion that if he's fit, then he isn't going to be getting dropped or stepping aside. As Barnsley says, even the FA Cup, Anthony Patterson couldn't get in, so that's probably telling its own story. So he's gone from playing and being first choice, is it what, for 18 months, 2 years now, just to not getting a look in, really. So it probably comes down to the individual, if he's happy sitting there, and if the keeper Robin Roofs did anything happen to him, then Pato could step in. But as Bondi said, it looks like they're bringing somebody else in. So the writing's probably on the wall, and you would think if they're bringing this lad in and he's going to sit on the bench, probably Pato is wanting to get out there and get some games and get his career going again. But it's been unfortunate for him. As I said, he's a bit like Dan Neil, one of them who works so hard and did ever so well to get us here, but haven't really had the chance. But that's the decisions managers and boards and recruitment staff make.
I think the other problem is because he's a goalkeeper, and that's the position that once you've established a goalkeeper in the team, the second choice is likely not to get any game time.
Yeah,
it's not like O'Nien or some of those others in the squad that have been getting game time. Patterson is just not going to get game time, and it's not. I don't think it's any judgment on Patterson as whether he's got the ability. Unlike you can look at that bench and say, well, do they think Dan Neil hasn't got the ability because he's not been given the game time, because he's an outfield player and they've trusted Hume, they've trusted Ballard, they've trusted Sirkin, but they haven't trusted certain others. Patterson's not in that bracket because Robin Ruffs has just been too good, and he's just not going to get ousted.
No, and I think there's probably certain stages of goalkeepers' careers, getting on in the years or young, who haven't had a lot of games, who might just be happy to be on the bench and sit. I think that's a goalkeeper sort of mentality. That, as Barnsley said, there's only one spot available for them, but you will get certain keepers who can sit there for years and not play. But I think Pato's probably at that stage where he's had games and he's probably thinking, I need to get out and get going again.
Ironically, I guess, he's the architect of his own downfall. He made 2 fantastic saves at Wembley, didn't he? One very early on, another one later in the game. If either of those had gone in, that might have led to Sheffield United beating Sunderland, and then Patterson might still be playing for Sunderland in the Championship this season. But that's the nature of the game, I guess.
It's funny how football pans out sometimes, because the keeper that always springs to mind is Ben Wilson at Coventry, who was at Sunderland as a young keeper, and he's released and he goes on to play for Cardiff and wherever, and ends up at Coventry City. Missed out on the playoff final the other year. It's been dropped from the first team this season. Could see Coventry reach the Premier League and probably won't ever play in the Premier League. And there's a parallel in a way with Patterson. And if Patterson, if he stays, then they do rate him. They do think he's a good keeper. I think the chances are Patterson will still be at Sunderland next season. And will get his chance at some point. But I think the other side of the coin is, as Ben Wilson has demonstrated, you can have a very, very good career in football, even if you even have to move on. But football is ruthless. It is brutal, and we've seen that this season.
Of course, through a number of players. We better crack on because we've got the team news coming up from St James's in the next 7 or 8 minutes or so, and we still haven't heard yet, have we, on the show tonight, from the man, in my opinion, the greatest ever fullback that Mozambique has produced. But you might disagree with me too. I don't know.
Well, Reinildo is 32 today, and what's been most impressive about Reinildo this season is the fact that he is in his early 30s, and he's bounding around like he's a 20-year-old. He's had an impressive left back, and I've heard many fans say he is possibly one of the best left backs they've ever seen at Sunderland. Just back from Mozambique in AFCON. He started